Moving ahead, now I would request Mr. Sudeep Das, Technical Sales Leader, IBM Security, to share their vision. Mr. Sudeep Das, Technical Sales Leader at IBM Security, is a cloud and security technical professional focusing on empowering organizations to protect their business at the speed and scale of cloud. A stalwart in the cybersecurity space, Sudeep and his team help organizations with their journey towards a more trusted environment to operate in.
Hi, good morning, everybody. This is Sudeep Das, technical sales for IBM Technology Sales in IBM India. And today I have the privilege to present to you a topic that is quite close to us. It's a lot operational in nature. We're doing this day in and day out, but we want to do better, right? And that is what is going to be my pitch here today to how do we really approach this problem of handling things in a better manner, in a more optimized manner. So, the topic for my session today is how do I modernize my security program under the present requirements of having an open and multi cloud platform to support. Right. So, the problems are well known. We have been working on this problem for ages. And we have too many things to do as far as security is concerned, right? And we do know that it is the weakest link that makes or breaks everything. We have so many controls to work on, we have got so many things to do, and if any one of them is not done with the right risk in mind, that might be the problem that we might have just overlooked, right? And of course, there are too many vendors to work with, too many controls to work with, and as all of these things are put together, complexity is there. We do understand the complexity, and all these complex solutions are giving us alerts. And which one of these alerts do I do now and next and next? We do know there is alert fatigue as well, right? This is an age-old problem. I'm not talking anything new, and we are facing this day in and day out. And to compound to this crowding that we have seen of different controls, now we are seeing another level of crowding. What is the security framework that is good for me? Should I be doing MDR, MDR with XDR, XDR or EDR, SASE, Zero Trust, NIST platform, 27001, PCI? There are so many. All of them are correct, right? All of them has a particular purpose, has a particular output. And in all probability, you will be subscribing to all of these things. Not a single one of them is going to be a silver bullet for all your problems. And in the modern day, the kind of things that we are starting to look, we have already adopted. For example, containers, we are adopting. Cloud, we are adopting. The edge computing, we are adopting. We still don't know really what is the security in those areas. So we try to retrofit all of those security in the same security framework and say, oh, okay, yeah, we do a little bit of that. And each one of them is, interconnected to each other, just like you see in this picture. Cloud security and container security and endpoint security or XDR and vulnerability management, patch management. All of these are related to each other. They feed data into each other. They help each other deliver what we call as MDR in a better manner. And MDR will work better if I have more and more data from EDR or an XDR kind of solution, right? And SASE takes us the visibility into the edge devices. Zero Trust brings in the context of data, context of identity. So there are these moving pieces. All of them are important. They bring things together. Now, bringing them together is what I'm going to talk about, right? That is what I intend to focus on. So in order to do that, from an IBM perspective, we have thought, let's make it a little simpler to start with. I will focus on the two primary aspects that I want to safeguard. First, data. I need to safeguard the data, right? That's most important. And the second is people and their experiences with security, right? The identity and how they are accessing the data and the applications. These two things is going to sit on a ecosystem of different technologies, different infrastructure, and many different things, right? So when I put this data security and identity access management on an open security ecosystem and manage the threats against this, you have a sorts of starting blocks, right? Threat management, data security, identity access management. and a platform which is open so that each of these elements can talk to each other and leverage each other's thing. In this particular talk, I'm going to focus only on the threat management side and the openness open architecture that we're talking about that helps doing what we are supposed to get out of a threat management toolkit, right? So let's get deeper into the threat management space. So what is its threat management? Uh, it's a complex subject, you have those XDR, MDR, EDR, etc., so many things around threat management that you have been hearing and you have been adopting and you're getting output out of it. We've broken down the functional capabilities around 4 different areas. If I have good data, then I can get good insights, right? So the first element is the data complete? Is the data that I'm working with complete in itself? For a very long period of time, people talked about data as the event logs, right? Now the XDR team is coming and saying, oh, I need to know about the processes inside the endpoint, the network traffic that is going in, the configuration data, the vulnerability data, the email data. So if you see on the left-hand side, I've some sort of small list of the data points that I'm interested in. How are the applications behaving? What are the transactions that are happening on the applications? What is happening at the OS level? What is happening at my cloud? What are the cloud configuration things that is happening? OS configuration things that are happening, and so on and so forth, right? So a whole bunch of all of these things are there, which gives me a data visibility. Once I get the data, I normalize it, categorize it into a readable format, enrich the data with contextual information, basically operationalize all this information that I have got, make a good information infrastructure to go into the next level of analysis, which helps me with detecting problems, right? So the second level, if you see, and I'll go deeper into it. So detection is where I will be detecting. Then once I have detected, I want to make sure that whatever I have detected makes sense. I will investigate the situation based upon the detection that I have. And when I have investigated, I act on it. Now, each one of them is big fields in itself. And we do know we have problems with people. We have problems with people being overloaded. And we also have problems with people with skill shortage, discontinuity, and all of those aspects are there. So we need extra help, right? We are talking about manual intelligence and artificial intelligence working in tandem, right? In fact, the way we at IBM talk about intelligence, artificial is like we call it as augmented intelligence rather than artificial intelligence. And in the space of AI, there's a whole bunch of things that can be automated, that can be analyzed. The insights can be tremendous, right? And I will talk about it, how the AI can not only play a role in the visibility section, in the detection section, the investigation, as well as in the response section. So the power of AI augments the power of the manual investigators who are sitting out there, and the tool goes ahead and automates as much as possible of this entire threat management process that we talked about, right? So let's go a little deeper into each one of them. So visibility, I need to have visibility across my on-prem systems, my mainframe systems, as well as my SaaS, PaaS, IaaS, all the software-defined and cloud-hosted things. Whatever be the element of infrastructure or element of interest that I have, what transactions are happening on them, I need to be knowing how it is behaving and what is hitting those systems. What is the configuration of those systems? So the visibility aspect of which is the access, it is absolutely critical for me to understand at a very, very granular level. Configuration data, vulnerability data, transaction data, network data, audit trail data, all of those. User data. Who is this user? Who is his manager? What is his role? All of those aspects, right? So the visibility of all this data across different dimensions, that's the first part. Once I have this data, I want to make sure that I put them in an engine which is able to give me insights into what is bad happening. There are certain insights which does not need to be validated whether bad or not. It is bad. I know if this pattern I see, it is bad. So the correlation will give me those aspects of what is bad. And then there are risky things which I cannot really distinguish whether they're bad or not bad. So I profile those activities. Any deviation from the profile might indicate a malicious thing. And when I put in the contextualization around that particular transaction, I will be able to say with greater clarity or greater magnitude that whether it is really bad or good. Or so detection, right? Isolate the threats, make sure that the alerts are identified or investigated, detected for false positives, and make sure that we understand how the threats are progressing from one step to another step to another. So, right? It's not a point in time problem. It is a sequence of activities that might be months altogether before it surfaces as an actual thing that needs response. So once I have detected the problem, not everything will be correlated into a single sequence, right? That is where my investigation comes into picture. Investigation is where I say that, okay, if I have a data breach problem, let me find out the campaign behind it. Let me find out what is the level of infection that I have, what has been breached, who should I inform. There's a whole bunch of investigative processes that I need to follow, which may or may not be automated, right? And of course, the next part is of course the response piece, which so let's go again. Let's read it and focus a little bit more on the visibility aspects as to what is needed to make sure. So first, making sure that I understand the system or the tool understands the different aspects of it. For example, I understand a firewall. I understand a firewall as a service. I want to understand database. I also understand database as a service. I understand compliance as a code, compliance as a script, compliance. I need to be able to understand those various infrastructural elements or controls that I have put in place. I need to understand the cloud. I need to understand the IT and OT devices. I need to understand the protocols on which they work. So the system should give me that capability of understanding what is the data and ensure that I'm able to normalize the data. Next is, once I have the thing, I need to have correlation rules. I need to have rules. I need to have AI correlation happening. I need to have profiling happening. And all those aspects of AI and cognitive sciences that can help me understand what is bad for me. So I detect. And as we put in all these various tools that we have built, analysis tools that we have built over the years into a single platform, I'm able to provide the right level of detection capabilities in a single platform, right? So it increases the ability to detect an attack. Once I have detected, I need to be able to run through the data, analyze the data with a global context, with a local context, with a historical context, with patch context, so many different contexts, right? So investigation. As I do the investigations, I can quicker. A lot of these could be automated and be made quicker. And of course, at last, response. I want to quarantine the system. I want to block the user. I want to, throw him a challenge. I want to patch a system. Various responses which can follow a playbook that is dynamic in nature, because no one incident, if you pick up a single incident and say this incident has these 5 steps to follow, many a times it will be just those 5 steps. But as you do the steps, if you find out more artifacts around it, you might need to add another 5 steps, another 2 steps, or remove certain steps. So it's dynamic in nature. The response need to be dynamic in nature, and that is what the system should be able to give you the capability to give the right kind of responses. So as I told you earlier, visibility, enterprise-wide data, not just the on-prem data, not just the SaaS data, not just the cloud data across all your different environments, be your factory environment, be your third-party environment, be your virtual environment, so all the different kind of data. One of the things that we say that, okay, what about the data that we have not seen? And believe me, there are so much of data out there which we today ignore. For example, sysmon data. People who does not have a EDR in place or an XDR system in place, they still have raw data on which we can work. I don't need to, have a NBAT system in place to be able to look into the traffic analysis data or the net flow data. Those raw data are there. So what we do is, instead of relying on third-party tools to be able to pick up this data and analyze them, we use the raw data that is being provided by these individual systems to give these. For example, the sysmon data is the Windows data that is there, right? We can read that data to provide insights into the endpoint. We can look into the net flow information on the traffic and give you insights into what is the net flow data telling me in terms of lateral movement. Or I can go ahead and read the actual traffic to see what is the layer 7 data that I could use to do this analysis as well, right? So get capability to read the patch management data, read the vulnerability management data, read the endpoint data, process data, so on and so forth. Once I have that, going back, detection, right? I should be able to look into the known attacks, which is what I have already known from the rest of the world. Unknown attacks by looking into the deviations from patterns, outlier detections, role detections, deviation from role, dynamically adjust my detections to make sure that I'm aligned to what is normal, what is abnormal, and link all of these things together to have a correlated information in front of me, right? So detection powered by AI, and the traditional methods, right? Let's not forget that the traditional methods are effective even today. You are not setting the firewall aside, you're not setting the antivirus aside, even though you have many more powerful tools. You still leverage those traditional capabilities, add on to them with the other AI and cognitive capabilities that is there today as technology is available with us, right? So detection as a plethora of things. Uh, Investigation, analyze the data with respect to the MITRE framework. That's what we are using today as a very, very effective tool, because the MITRE gives me a good indication of where we are with respect to this particular attack. So such kind of analysis helps me understand what might be the next steps, what are the remedial activities that I should be doing. I use Watson, the cognitive engine of IBM, to analyze the information with respect to the entire world, map them into the MITRE framework, and tell you what you could expect next, and what is the data that you have already, you have within your thing, and you just have not been able to put linkages around them. So we do those linkages, and of course, provide you the recommendations that we want based upon what we have already done earlier and what we need to do next step. So investigate the whole thing. And once we have investigated, we know for sure what we have to do. Many of those things will be based upon a case management tool. Many of them could be automated. So the SOC should be able to handle the compliance requirements of a security investigation, as well as work with the IT ops teams and give you the instantaneous responses and activities without having to go through the lengthy processes, if the risk assessment of the organization allows me to do so, right? So here again, you need to be talking to all the different systems, maybe your XDR system, or maybe your APT systems, cloud systems, etc. Make sure that you are able to think. So here we have a combination of a SOAR and an Ansible, which allows you to provide a very, very strong platform to take your responses quickly, right? So those four things, I've talked twice. I hope you have appreciated. So now, what as you move into the identity management and the data security and the compliance management and the dashboarding and the threat hunting and all of those things, what we have tried to do is build out this platform in which you have these things automated into it: the data connections, the case management, the automation, and that is sitting on a Kubernetes platform, which can run on-prem systems, on your cloud systems, and on top of it, you build the capabilities and just add them as containers, right? So this modern architecture works across different tools, helps you on-prem, hybrid, or a multi-cloud environment. Make sure that you are able to scale out, migrate in a seamless manner, and of course, being open in nature, you would be able to tie all of these security processes into your environment. With that, I hope I have given you a good view of how IBM is, preparing its open architecture and trying to solve this complexity problem in a future-ready manner. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for giving a wonderful presentation on how IBM brings value to the industry.